Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Inside Melbourne, brought to you by Zurich. It is a special podcast because we're joined by probably let's play a takeover round, and we're joined by arguably the two biggest smack talkers at the football club, Angus Brayshaw and Max Gawn. Welcome, boys.
If 90% of the people didn't just tune out of this podcast already from that opening.
That was an elite intro.
It was elite, but it was like the voiceover for a TV commercial.
Oh, right.
That's the most boring thing I've ever heard.
You just get the formalities out of the way early. Who are the other, if it's me and Max, who else would you say talk?
Well, that's why I'm not the personality of the podcast. That's why you two fellas on here. I'm just here to mediate
so
things
when you
and
normally
get
do the
things working.
podcast, it's you and Clint. So Clint's the personality.
Yes.
Jeepers.
Yeah. I'm never the personality on
no
the podcast.
wonder why we're at rock bottom numbers and they've brought us in.
Yeah, well,
No, they brought you in. They brought you in because it's play of takeover round.
All right, well, we're here now, Vines. Thanks for having us, mate.
No, good to have you on. Let's start with the bye. So we just had 4 days off. What have you boys been up to?
Yeah, it was handy to get the 4 points. Still get the 4 points for the bye?
Yep, I think you do.
Or is that local league?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not in touch with local league really. You spent a bit of time down in Ormond.
You didn't play local, did you? You were basically straight into the
I was
AFL
Hampton
system.
Rovers with Christian Salem, Jaden Hunt. We won a flag or two.
All right. Well, the bye week. I went back home. Ducked off to Ormond for 5 or 10 minutes on Saturday. It's a 2-minute drive from my house, but I technically went back home, which is what everyone else seems to do. What did you do, Angus?
I actually went to there's a winery estate, Zonzo Estate. You would have frequented that a few times.
I've been there
Eastern
before.
suburbs, isn't it? Out that way.
It's a while out, a bit out of my
out the Yarra Valley.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a lovely place, but an hour drive. Stayed at the winery that night. I'm not sure it was.
What took you out there?
So a friend's going to play basketball in college for 4 years, and it's like a birthday send off type thing. So jumped on the team bus. Out we went, and it was really good. You would have been there. Have you been there?
before?
Yeah, I've been to Zonzo.
Yeah. Oh, well,
Were you
I
in
ate
like
a lot
the
of
little?
food. I haven't eaten anything since. I weighed in at like 110 kilos after the feed, but
Were you in the little warehouse part or the restaurant part?
restaurant.
Yeah, the warehouse school.
Yeah. Well, I was just in the
Yeah,
restaurant.
it's disappointing.
Yeah. Well, no, it was good.
Jack?
All right.
What did
Yeah,
you
I was
do?
going to say, someone asked me.
Yeah.
You asked me. Okay. First couple of days of the bye, I just was around home and doing life admin, getting organised, and then
Sorting out all your Bankwest.
Bankwest. Getting that sorted, and then off camping.
Did you bring in your Halo ring?
No, not today.
Yeah.
I don't wear rings while I train, mate.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Of course.
And then I took off camping with my old man and my brother. I went to Reedsdale in northern Victoria. It was cold, but it was good to get out of the city. Not much. Made a fire, stared at it, cooked dinner,
Yep.
and then slept, came home the next day. So it was good to get in touch with nature again.
Yeah, that's nice.
but
Is that near Echuca? You're up from
Yeah, it was near Heathcote, halfway.
Yeah.
Halfway.
God's country.
God's country,
Last time I
absolutely.
went camping was the infamous camp where we didn't sleep actually for.
Yeah, I'm never camping
The
again.
60 hour
mate.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
I still have nightmares. That's all right.
No, it was a good buy. We're refreshed. We're good to go.
Refreshed.
We've got to win, obviously, 10 of the next 10, but it's going to be an exciting little passage for us.
What do you think the buy does for players? Do you a fan of it? Do you want more, less? What do you think the playing group and the players across the industry get from it?
It's a great question, Jack. I think there probably should just be one buy. There is a lot of people that are pushing for two.
I don't mind one, and then the second one is like an incentive for making finals. I don't mind it like that.
I'm a footy man and enjoy my footy, and especially when you're working off the back of 7-day breaks, sometimes it can get a bit annoying when it's a 4-day break going into an Anzac Day Eve game. But a 7-day break, you can get in a little routine, and sometimes a big 15-day break in the middle of it can riddle you a little bit and gets you out of whack. But it only happens once a year, so
Players have injuries and stuff and niggles that I reckon a little bit of a break helps get on top of and freshen up for the back half of the season. So just like and probably relevant for us, just to like we are under the pumps, fair to say, Vine. So just to get out from underneath the microscope and get a little bit of you time. It's probably not a bad thing either, just to get back in touch with family and friends and stuff like that.
Absolutely. So yesterday we had came in, everyone speaking about catching up with each other, see what they did with the buys, and then in the afternoon, the players, or the whole football department actually took off to Lido Cinemas in Hawthorn to watch an early preview of the Adam Goods documentary. What do you boys think of that?
Not a Hawthorn fan.
What was it called again?
It was the Adam Goods.
We'll get to the Adam Goods doc.
I'm not a Hawthorn fan, just before we go too far into it. I know that's where you've lived.
The issue of traffic around Hawthorn
Traffic,
is just a big
parking.
issue.
Hawthorn is a great...
Everywhere's
Great
2 hour
spot.
parking, which is phenomenal because a
2 hour
movie goes for
parking.
longer than 2 hours.
Isn't it? Rationalise that one for me. The cinema park.
And the
is capped at
Hawthorn
2 hours.
Coles had like 6 aisles. Like,
No,
what's the
you-
point of
you-
having a Coles if you have 6 aisles?
Well, no, sorry, I'm anti-Hawthorn, so I'm listening to...
Well, you're anti every suburb but Brighton. So
oh, hang on.
the-
I'm not even from Brighton.
well, Bayside.
Yeah, all right. Let's draw the battle lines. I'm on Team Bayside, and I think you are as well. So I
I'm
don't know where
almost
you're
team,
jumping
I'm
down,
team
Michael.
Central.
All right. Well, okay. Fair
Hawthorn.
point. You know, parking can be difficult at times and might not make sense, but at least I don't have to drive over an hour to get anywhere.
No, it took me 21 minutes to get in this morning.
Yeah, but
Yeah, what time you leave at 5 in the morning?
Left at 2 a.m. There was no one out on the
7:07.
road.
So I snoozed my alarm for 4 minutes, felt
Yeah.
really guilty, then got up and put a lot of time into my kit. Unfortunately, podcasts aren't a visual medium, but I just slipped it into the Crocs, which I'm wearing right now, and
You
so I was out in
See,
a couple of minutes.
this is a constant battle around the locker rooms. Is you fit half the group either live east side or Bayside, and
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've
feel
got
I feel
open
like
spaces,
you always
the infrastructure, the beach.
no
golf course, the sand belt.
You always say it's like, oh, it's only like a 20-minute trip into work, which is
Yeah.
Amy Park, and
Yeah.
I feel like that is a complete lie unless you leave.
Oh, seriously, I left at 7:00. Let's call it 7:07 this morning. I got in at 7:30, low 7:30s, and mine was just a nice drive in. Yours would take 20 minutes, but you're up the back of someone for the whole time, and having lived.
Well, I'm literally
in
sitting on the
both,
fence
but
because
you've
I'm in
lived in
Bentley.
both, haven't you?
Bentley is a fence sitter.
But you've lived in
They're
both.
not quite east, not
Get
quite
off the
south.
fence. You've lived
Well,
in
I
both.
live in Bentley.
Yeah, but you
I have lived in both.
So-
Well, as soon as the Sandy line shuts down, which is every second day, Sandy's cooked. So that's an
hang
issue.
on.
But all of a sudden, Swan Street's decided to go down to one lane and made it incredibly
Yeah.
hard to get over Punt Road.
Well,
So
let's
they're
talk
both-
about that
they're both
Swan Street.
deplorable.
That
So in
Swan
fact, if you
Street
sit in the
reno.
fence in Bentley, you take the Monash and you're there. So come to Bentley.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
Bentley.
thanks.
But the Adam Goods doco.
Bentley's got the
Back on
Monash.
track.
That's your selling point.
It was good. It was good to be able to get together as a whole group. Footy department, footy admin, board level, and players were all there. And about a 90-minute film, 75-minute film, which was good. And I mean, I've got some real strong views that have come out of that, and one of them is based around AFL media, and there should be some sort of accreditation to be able to get to commentate on a game that has 11% of Indigenous players playing in their game, and with that sort of high number, and hopefully and potentially more to come, there should be an education program around anyone that commentates in our game. And at the moment, I'm not sure if there is, but I'm pretty doubtful there is after watching that doco, because there was some pretty lousy comments.
Just to give the doco context, it's about Adam Goods' last 3 years of his football career, and all of the stuff that he was fighting for, and also the backlash from it.
Yeah,
so
I think someone made a really good point in the cinema. Like,
It's probably me. Was it me?
no, it actually definitely wasn't you.
Yeah, right.
But living through it, we all did. Like, you just sort of get like a drip here, a drab there. But seeing it all sort of in one 70-minute thing, it just astonished me that that this is in this day and age. Like, this is the sort of stuff that happens.
There is a society issue, and I mean, I'm not naive to think that I can't change a society. I mean, if everyone said that, no one's ever going to change. So I know there's, I've got some sort of view in the whole society. But I mean, when you see some of the comments from Andrew Bold, who's a political reporter, that's almost out of our control, as much as we wanted to be able to control it. But there was some comments from within the AFL, and that's our community. And I think there was a chance that, I mean, I look back on myself, and I'm sure everyone does when they watch this doco and review on how they were acting during that period, and I hid behind the young player or the inexperienced player, or my voice wasn't big enough. That's what I hid behind, and I'm presuming 95% of the AFL hid behind that, thinking their voice wouldn't have been heard, and there's no point in me doing it. And all of a sudden, it spirals out of control, and Adam's out there taking all the bullets for everyone. And there was some really good cases in the doco, like Bob Murphy did some really good stuff in terms of wearing Adam Goods' jumper for the coin toss, and Lewis Jetta was strong in his support. And I know at our club, Jeffy Garlett and Nev Jetta and Haridi Lumumba at the time were also very supportive. So I just think a lot of people had a chance to maybe help Adam, and they didn't.
Yeah, I came away with a huge admiration with Adam and the way he constantly put himself out there. Even with all the backlash he was copying. It would have been very easy for him just to go into his shell, but for 4 or 5 years he's just putting himself out there, trying to it wasn't even putting it down people's throats, it was just simply trying to make people aware of the issues his culture have faced for so long. And all he needed was some support, which he just didn't get to the level he needed. Man, it was a shame to see it affected him personally by the end of it. But yeah, I came away with a huge admiration for Adam, which I think at the time, like you said, Gussie, getting fed dribs and drabs over 4 or 5 year period, it doesn't have the same impact that kind of 90-minute video shows you of everything Adam went through in that space of time. So, it is a shame that after having, it takes me to watch that video to have that level of admiration for Adam. But
I think it's on. You go.
No, you go.
I was just saying it's on Channel 10, free of charge. You have to pay to go to a cinema. I think they're
which is weird that Channel 10's doing that because they need all the money they can get. But
there's a jab, but get on Channel 10. I mean, I reckon everyone should watch it because it gave like an insight that I just would never have had before, and appreciation that I just didn't before. So I think it's definitely a worthwhile watch.
I'm a little bit disappointed that the doco didn't have the game where Cale Morton tagged Adam Goods. I mean, for all Melbourne supporters listening to that, that was a game where Adam Goods had about 50 touches on Cale Morton. Obviously one of the highlights of his career. I know Cale was in some serious form going into it, but not sure if it was the right matchup for Goodsy on that day. I'm not sure if you were here for that, Joe.
No, I was.
I think that was 2011 maybe 2010.
Still at school, I think.
Cal Morton wore number 10, didn't he?
Yeah, Cal Morton wore number 10. I'm not sure. Did I say 2010? Is that where you got the...
No, I'm just wondering. You said him out loud. I don't know. I reckon tagging Goodsy's a hard task at the best of times, so don't dump on Cale.
I'm not dumping on Cale. He was a terrific player for the time we had him.
It's a positive podcast.
Yeah. All right. I reckon it's time to move on. We've got a list here of topics, fellas. Anything up there that you feel passionate about discussing?
Yeah, I've got one because I'm watching a new TV show at the moment, and I really wish I hadn't started. And I need some suggestions. It's called. Have you ever seen / heard of the OA?
I may have started it, but I didn't get hooked.
It's the worst thing I reckon I've...
Does it have anything to do with World of Warcraft? Vines would be all over it.
No, no World of Warcraft in it, but it's all like... It's just the stupidest show, but I'm hooked, so I have to sort of finish watching it, but it's just no good. So what do you're a TV show watcher?
Yeah, I'm a crime, sort of investigative crime TV show, like similar to The Sinners.
Yeah, okay. You might like the OA then.
The Fall's one that I've just watched. I mean, they're pretty intense. Like, I don't want to say I'm a fan of it because some pretty gruesome stuff happens in the shows, but for some reason I get relatively addicted to it. I just finished Dirty John, which, I mean, everyone finished 6 years ago, but I decided to finish this week, which was...
How was it?
It got really bad. Like, it was a great first 2 episodes, but the next 6 were phenomenally bad, and the ending was... I know you can't... I mean, it's based on another TV show, so you can't... based on a true story, sorry, so you can't make up your own ending, but it was a poor ending. Like, John, you got to come up with better ways to finish that.
Well, I haven't seen it, so I probably won't off the back of that.
Well, don't watch the last 2 episodes.
Tell you what show I do love watching is AFL Kids.
Yeah.
And our friend Jack Gawny was...
So, refresh me and the listeners on what actually happened in that video. So, our captain, the captain of the toughest football club.
They are oldest football club in the land, steepled in the history of the game.
Who is up there? Are we top 2 in contested ball at the moment? So we're right up there. And the captain's built his brand on contested ball.
The quintessential tough footballer.
Yeah.
Head over the ball.
What's he done?
Hard. And I'm just paraphrasing here. I've got it written down a little bit. But you were dancing in the shower with someone on
Lobo.
Lobo on the AFL kids segment.
Yeah, and I think the main word there is kids segment.
Yeah.
So I think people are taking this a little bit too seriously.
You've got a track record with shower advertising.
Yeah, I know. Whenever there's a shower scene and I'm involved, it doesn't come out well. So I think that's my lesson to take away from this.
So we see trends in the game.
At the same time, I want to defend myself.
Okay, sure.
Right?
Well, this is the forum for you to defend yourself. So take the floor.
So this is content for the kids channel. Okay,
Sure.
so like. I'm supposed to be taking the mickey out of myself.
Yep.
It's supposed to be a laugh.
Yep.
It's supposed to be embarrassing.
Yeah.
Which is what it was.
Yeah, I guess.
And everyone is taking this as if I've done it. You know.
Yeah. That's a good rebuttal.
You know
that
what
is
I'm
a
saying?
good rebuttal
For the cash.
For cash. No, I've done it for the good of the kids, mate.
We've done it for both.
I'm just trying to put smile on kids' faces, and people want to.
Then you put a smile on the bank's face.
People think that's.
Was that the aim of the Phil Davis piece as well?
No. So that's different.
So I think the trend
is that money in the Halo ring, so you can pay with that money going forward.
Now this is a bit further down the list.
We're mixing endorsements here. I can't keep up.
For the listeners, Jack Viney is with NAB Bank and was endorsing a Westpac Halo ring on his social media the other week. So basically, we're going into.
Sorry, where does Bank West come into this?
Well, that's the Halo ring, isn't it? That's who he was endorsing it for. Or maybe I've got that mixed up. Well, you can tell. We got Vines right here. So
the floor's yours again, Jack.
So how shameless?
I think this is. I don't like this all being about me.
Okay.
I think we.
Yeah, that's fair. Did you have a TV show that you're watching? Or?
Oh yes. No, I don't watch a whole lot of. Billions.
Billions.
Yeah, Billions. I enjoy, and that's kind of getting. I'm up to date, so I'm. Every week, the new episodes.
What season's up to?
4, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm right into that.
Actually, I'm still currently watching Wentworth as well, which is a great TV show and showcase Aussie drama. It's an action-packed girls' prison, phenomenal stuff.
Girls' prison.
Yeah, and on that note, I think we'll take a break. Jack, can you throw us to it?
Yep. No, it's been a good first half of the podcast, but we're going to take a break and we'll be back with some questions.
Thanks to our co-major partner and podcast sponsor, Zurich. For over 100 years, they've been ensuring the people and the things you truly love. And just like you, they truly love footy and they truly love Melbourne.
And welcome back Inside Melbourne, brought to you by Zurich, Bank West, NAB. Who else are you sponsored by, Jack?
AFL Kids.
AFL Kids.
Jaguar.
New Balance. You got New Balance?
No, Nike.
Nike. Anyway, they're all helping out with this podcast, but Zurich is the one that's actually doing the work. We got Angus Brayshaw, who hasn't given much, and Jack Viney, who is obviously paying for the podcast. And we're going to take some questions.
You've just been potting. That's all you've been doing. Vines has been trying his hardest. I've been trying to, add some, layers to the podcast, talk about some different sort of angles on things. And you have just been in the cheap seat potting, haven't you?
I think that's feedback that I needed, and I'll be better for the next 15 minutes.
Speaking of feedback, we got some questions.
Yeah, we do have questions.
People. And there's one that really took my mind really quickly. Where is it here? It says, Gawny, are you ever going to shave your beard? That's what I'm interested in.
That took your mind. You think that's the most interesting question on...
Yep, I think it is, because how long have you had your beard for?
I mean, yeah, we can talk about my beard.
Don't pop me. Just answer the question.
I'm happy to talk about my beard for the 700th time, but I mean, if I really got upset about talking about my beard, I wouldn't have it, would I?
All right, next question. This has gone terribly.
So I'm going to keep my beard probably for as long as my playing career.
All right. Was that so hard?
No, it wasn't, and I'm sorry for making it sound hard.
That's all right. What about you, Vines?
What
sort of interested you?
Wait, what?
What interested you?
Are you keeping your beard?
Oh, right. I'm interested in the... someone's asked, can you claim tax deductions on footy boots?
You'd be well aware of that. Sorry, I've got to
and
stop.
You can. You can. Tool the trade. So I just think that was a good question for all those aspiring accountants out there.
Yeah, well, I just did my accounting exam, so you can, because it's related directly to your job, so you can claim that as a deduction. So
there you go.
The accounting detail behind it. What about Cole Dunkley this week? What do you reckon? He's been really impressive.
He's debuting this week.
I don't know if he's debuting, but he's been really impressive. I thought
his brother's been good.
Well, yeah. Do you see the interview with him and his old man?
No, what
after
happened?
He got drafted. I think his old man's a doggy supporter, and they were sitting there in the family room, and the doggies might have had a pick we were pick 3. The doggies might have been 5 or 6.
Yep.
and Kyle got picked at pick 3, and his whole family's up celebrating, and his old man just hasn't moved, face stone, and they interview him after, and he's like, oh, you know, are you happy that he's gone to the Doggies? And he's like, he's gone to Melbourne. He's like, oh, yeah, you know, maybe one day they'll both end up playing at Western Bulldogs. That'd be good.
Yeah, right.
So I think...
what about maybe both of them at Melbourne?
Well, I mean, there's that option, but I think there's the family bias is towards the West.
Yeah, right. Well, the family bias with the Brayshaws is towards Melbourne, which leads us to a great question about your brother this week.
It does, yeah, Andrew. I got some work to do.
Who won the
him.
battle in Darwin last year?
Well, it's a good debate around that, because I know Vines is a tough footballer. You value tackles, big tackles more than most. So he nailed me. I'm just going to come out and say openly that he got me.
Yeah.
I think.
Do you remember?
Yes, I do remember.
Yeah.
And from memory, you were on the bottom and he was on top.
Yeah, he was ragdolling me.
Yeah. So I think that
Podcast took a new turn, didn't it?
I think he won that.
Well, so he won that little instance, but what you don't see in that video, because it's only a 5-second clip, is that he's been relegated to the halfback flank because Gawn, Viney, Brayshaw and Oliver had put a 50-point lead together in the first half and had been relegated back to the halfback flank.
Yeah, right. So he got put back there.
And what you didn't see, which is, you know, I think I win. We won by 50 points. Yeah,
but that's not what people see, you know.
Yeah, but then, you know.
Well, I mean, it's probably a 0-0 draw, and it's going to be exciting to see who gets the points this week.
Well, yeah, it will be. Hopefully, he gets some going in the midfield. He's been playing on the wing a bit and forward, but
well, hopefully you get to go on the midfield.
Yeah, I've been playing. I'm the 13th string. Did we figure it out midfield at the moment?
Somewhere around there. Well, you were doing some good stuff on the wing. We've decided to put you back into the middle now, which is also good. But I think the credit to you is you can play so many different positions. So
you know what? Let's just time out, because I think that's the first compliment you've given someone on this podcast, and I think that's worth acknowledging.
Thank you.
It's good to be nice. What about playing on Hogs? How do you reckon that'll go?
Don't know. I hope I'm not playing on him.
None of us are really defenders.
Last time I checked, I not a fullback, but
he rotated into the midfield a couple of times.
Oh yeah, he could come in the mid. Sweet.
Can't wait to see Steve May play on him.
That's an exciting battle. The 2 number ones. Well, Hogs is now number 11.
Well, 3 number ones.
Yeah, I mean, do you want me to go down there and make a 5? Although I do go down and help the backs every now and then, so I might go down and help. But no, look, there's going to be a lot made of that matchup. I'd say they'd both be thinking about it while they're not thinking about it, if that makes sense. It's going to be... I mean, my money's on Steve. I'm not going to come out and say Jesse will kick 10 because that'd be a bit weird on the Melbourne podcast. But
it would be.
I'm presuming Frosty will have a fair bit of a crack as well, and potentially Rick Lever as well.
Lever will float across.
There's no real one-on-one matchups in these days, especially in that area of the ground.
Should be a good game, though. They're in good form.
Yes. All right, I've got one. What's your favourite song at the moment?
Gee, that is a good one.
I mean, can you say that at the moment? Like, I've got some all-timers. I've got some ones. You said it.
The
Star is Born. The Star is Born song by Bradley Cooper, and
that's a big one for the football club. It is
still.
It's relevant. It always will be.
I've got a wedding later on in the year, so I'm pushing a few songs forward.
Push that one to the top. Of the
but I think that's corny now. So I like Sam Smith Latch, which is even cornier. But
I reckon that. When you're getting married, the third...
I said, if Jess walks down to Sam Smith Latch, I'll cry.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is... Well, Shallow. I'd be crying if it was Shallow. Yeah. I'd cry with you.
I reckon they're both on par as the better wedding songs going around. She wants something quirky that I've never heard of. I'm not going to cry.
No, park that. Laughing. Put that on park and pump.
It's crucial you cry too. Otherwise, you get... as I found out, they don't...
is that
they don't let it go.
You didn't cry?
I didn't cry, and...
Well, what song played?
It's almost like... we have to do it again.
You should have. What's the name of the tissue brand? We should have got them to sponsor Vines for his wedding. Kleenex. Got the sponsorship.
Do you have a connection to Kleenex?
I'll get onto it. I'll get to speak to my manager.
I'm a Shallow guy.
I really like this question.
Which one?
A random fact people wouldn't know about you by Luke.
That's a good one. I used to play the bagpipes for a couple of years.
That is an unbelievable fact. I did not know that. Did you know that?
I didn't.
The bagpipes.
Yeah.
You're telling me, and for those that don't know what happens in football clubs, we spend a lot of time working out backstories and everything we know about each other. So when it gets to the MCG, we know literally everything.
Yeah.
And you've been here for how many years?
This is my 5th year.
And you've never mentioned to me that you play the bagpipes.
Well, all right. When's the last time you asked me about my historical music achievements?
Well, I ask you about random facts all the time.
I don't think you do.
How many random facts do you have?
I don't have many, but that's one that I've sort of been. We love at Melbourne to like get players and coaches up to develop their story and give a bit more insight. I've just, if that was ever me, that would be a factor that I included, but I've just never done it.
Do you not wear jocks as well?
I wear jocks. I've got a pair of jocks on now, but especially when I play bagpipes.
Yeah, that was where I was getting at.
Yeah. Well, no, it's
you were in
Scottish. My old man got married in a kilt. Yeah. And he lives vicariously through the 4 of his sons, and he sort of made me do bagpipes when I was in year 10. Did it to year 12. And
well, my random fact is I usually go, I've got a young border collie. Well, he's not that young anymore, 6. And I take him for walks, and it's about a 6K, not track, about 6K block around my house.
So far, not random, but...
And I take him for that 6K walk, and for that 6K walk, I can only put 1 foot in each pavement square the whole way. Yeah, which is, that's a common thing people do on walks here.
Yeah, so, I'm with you.
But there's a point on the back kilometre, like the back straight, where the pavement squares are really big. So, like, when people are driving past, I'm literally hopping in squares. And even my border collies are looking at me going, like, what are you doing? But the other day, for the first time, I completed it, 6K. Every foot in 1 pavement square.
So you get to the back K and lose all.
Yeah, well, it becomes too hard.
So you've really committed. What you put
really
the runners on?
I'd runners, active wear.
That's super impressive.
Yeah. So, for those at home that want to try it, 6K is the challenge.
That's the world record, I reckon.
I've put Jack asleep there. You didn't like that?
Nah, that was.
You don't play activities like that?
Nah.
The other day, Jess wasn't home.
I'm still amazed that you called your dog young and it's 6 years old.
How old's your dog?
3. Oh, not 3. Just.
That's probably. Is that young? Maybe.
I would consider that to be, not. It's
on the
old
border
now.
Yeah. Well, it's younger than 6.
At 3, it's like it's not a puppy anymore.
You got a fact for us, Vines?
Sorry for not giving up on my dog.
Nah, I'm an open book.
You're an open book.
I suppose on the musical.
Well, here we go.
I'd
don't
piano,
play recorder.
Piano and guitar.
Guitar's more mainstream. I like piano. That says a random.
Ode to Joy.
Piano at primary school, and then.
What was your favourite song?
I can't remember.
Yeah, okay. So not great.
Don't have a song. I did Madonna, Can't Get You Out of My Head on piano one day. Well, sorry, keyboard.
Yeah, right.
Sounds a bit shit. I'm sorry, I can't say shit. I said it twice.
Well, now you've said it twice.
Yeah, we'll blank that out.
Oh, we can say shit because someone's put
Are we all saying shit?
A question on here, which is why are we so shit this year?
Yeah, which is a great question.
Which is,
thanks,
it's on here, so it's something we can say.
How did that one get through?
And that's what I want to know. Who's putting these questions on here?
Well, that's it. Well, we can break that down a bit.
Well, if we could answer it, I'm sure we probably wouldn't be that bad, would we?
I'd be on $1 million a year coaching the Melbourne Football Club, player coach.
Well, you're on $1 million a year playing, so.
Yeah, I'd be on $2 million a year, player coach. Nah, it's
no. Look, take it serious for a moment. We're still playing some really good footy, and we're in the top of a lot of stats, and we're in the bottom for some key stats as well. So there's some things that we're working on, and just because we finish in the prelim doesn't mean that it's going to happen next year. And we found that out the hard way. So unfortunately, Campbell, you probably are right, but don't judge us yet. We've still got 10 weeks to go. And hopefully when we next do the podcast, that'll be a better question.
Absolutely. And, it all starts this weekend against Freo. Very good opportunity to get, some form back, and hopefully we can, find that form again and get a few in a row. So I think that's going to wrap it up for this special episode of the podcast.
You happy with the amount of content we got? That's good.
I think so. I think the conversation did.
I really enjoyed it. It was a good chat, wasn't it?
It was a good
we
chat.
Had a good time.
I had a great time. I got challenged for the amount of feedback I was giving.
But you responded.
I responded.
And gave a compliment.
That's where I've become as a leader.
You got something nice to say to Vines to finish off?
I think the way you hosted this podcast throughout the first 11 weeks has been really, really good.
Admirable.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
I think it's a credit to yourself, your family, and yeah.
Well, that's true.
And Angus. No, I gave you one earlier.
You've already given me the one, so don't go over your quota.
Yeah.
But no, thanks for having me, Vines.
I
Had a
think
great time.
you're in the top 3 Brayshaws in the AFL easily.
Well, my old man is technically in the AFL sphere, so
Yeah.
who's out?
Well, Andrew.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I appreciate that. Ahead of next week.
Hamish is a star, number 1.
Thanks for having me, Vines.
No worries. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you on the next episode.